Filthy Animals is an ecology podcast for adults. Episodes may contain strong language and graphic descriptions of natural phenomena, wink. A more detailed list of content warnings is included in the episode description.
Welcome to Filthy Animals, a sex, drugs, and ecology podcast where science educators talk about the unusual adult activities of the natural world that we believe you need to know. Every month, we'll expose you to the latest research on all the filthy topics your high school science teacher was too embarrassed to talk about. I'm Nicole.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Allan, and can one of you tell me a French phrase for post-orgasmic bliss?
Sacre bleu.
That was a terrific answer. I'm think more about after the moment. After the sacre bleu, you have what?
And I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Have any of you heard the phrase "la petite mort"?
Yes, the little death.
The little death. Yeah, that's what they call it. Nicole, you're gonna be okay. It's
Great.
so that feeling of like, oh well, because orgasm puts the body through like a lot of intensity, and the feeling afterwards is like, oh, a weakening of consciousness. Oh God, have I died? Hence the origin of the phrase.
Interesting.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today: sex and death. Okay.
Actual death?
Amazing.
Oh yeah, there's some quote.
Okay.
There's some quote like sex and death. It's like the only things you should care about. There's the only stuff for serious people to think about, and we're gonna think about both of them today. It's gonna be very fun.
So we're very serious.
We are.
You can tell by our intro.
Yes, we are very serious-minded people here. So we are going to be discussing, not just the little death though, but
The big death.
the big death. Yes, the animals for whom the act of copulation ends up being one of the last things they ever do.
Like salmon?
Salmon's a good example. Okay.
Honeybees.
What else?
Honeybees.
Honeybees. Yes. Can you guys? These are excellent examples of simiparous animals. Okay. Similarity is sort of the biological concept of where animals usually only mate once in their lifetime, once in their life cycle, and it tends to be close to the end of their life cycle. In general. Obviously it's really common among insects, okay, because insects don't really have a lot of time to deal with when they're adults. If you're only alive for like 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's like the adult stage only exists to have sex and die.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, plenty of insects don't even have, like adult insects don't even have mouth parts. It's just like, we're here to do one thing. Let's make it happen.
Yes.
Salmon are an interesting example. They're actually an example that I wanted to talk about of this because it's like similarity gets much less common in vertebrates. So salmon are kind of a little weird in that, or a little stranger in that regard. They go through some intense physiological changes in their life because what do you guys know about salmon?
They go from salt water to fresh water?
Yes, well, fresh water to salt water, then back, right?
Right.
Yes. So, they're an anadromous fish. So they convert their body in extreme ways to be able to make that move. Because basically they have to, change the entire way that they regulate, that they osmoregulate, deal with the amount of salt that's in their body.
Yeah.
So as they grow, they actually have to completely reverse the way that fluid moves through their bodies and their kidneys and stuff like that. It's kind of horrifying.
Yeah, that's a topic that I found very interesting in like my adaptations in physiology classes, like the idea that if you are an animal with your capillaries exposed to the water and the water is salt, like it would suck all the fluid out of your body. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, not
like,
great.
The idea that saltwater fish don't really have to think about drinking so much as the fact that they need to think about not losing the water they have.
Yes, not becoming like cured,
Yeah,
salt cured in the ocean. Yes, that's a big problem for them. But of course, when they finally, when they're mature and they're ready to return to their streams to spawn, they undergo an additional set of really bizarre physiological changes. They get like their color changes from a silver to a pink. The males get like these long hooked jaws. They get crazy humpbacks. They get like their body starts really like actively deteriorating as they enter these streams. Okay.
Do they have jaws when they're in the ocean though?
Yeah, I know, but they get like gnarly when
I don't understand.
I don't know what to tell you. They this is just one of the changes they go through. That salmon pink color, that is a color of a fish close to death, really.
Nice.
But some of these are like adaptations for mate defense and like showing off and things like that. So yeah, they go through all these huge changes, eventually power their way back into the stream. They mate, fish sperm everywhere. Everyone's happy. And then they really that's when they really start breaking down. So like, that's why you don't fish for salmon when they're in the freshwater, like mating phase of their life, right? Because their body is really starting to get like mushy.
Gross.
Great for bears. Bears love that. Less good for people. People try to catch them in the ocean.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever had a piece of salmon where the skin on it was like bright pink, or was it always silver?
I have silver?
Yeah.
But I feel like I've also like seen people fishing for salmon in rivers.
I mean, you can, but it's like it's not like the peak quality of when you want to eat that fish.
Okay. Maybe that explains why they were pulling the eggs out of them to use as bait.
That
more than like eating them.
Yeah, that could be. And there's like, I'm sure that, there's all sorts of various uses for this fish in all stages of their life cycle. But yes. So that mating is very closely followed by death, simulparity, right?
Yes.
That's kind of the opposite. The opposite phenomena would be heteroparity, which is where animals just mate multiple times throughout their life cycle. That's what we typically see in birds and mammals, right? But not always. Okay. And that's the main thrust of what I want to talk about. Because I said thrust.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the main thing I wanted to discuss today. Is mammals. Okay, that are actually simulparous, because that is exceedingly rare. That you end up with that situation. Even though sex being followed by death is not uncommon in the natural world, it's really, really rare. Only about 4, I say about because these, genera of animals are getting like sort of slopped around and subdivided and all that.
Okay.
But 4 genera of animals, or 4 genera of mammals rather, experience true simulparity.
I can't even think of what it might be. I'm thinking, what is the most insect-like mammal that I know of? Is it a bat?
The most insect-like mammal. What a weird way to think about that. It's well, because like, I mean, mammal reproduction is totally different, right? You have, it's yes. What's I was trying to think of the thing. What do they call it?
What are you talking about?
Womb. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a womb involved.
Insects don't have wombs.
Vessels.
No, right. Oh, no. I was thinking about like, okay, from ecology, you talk about like, okay, the way that insects reproduce is I'm going to maximize my reproductive rate. I'm going to crank out as many bugs as I can.
Yes.
Who cares if 99% of them die? 1% of them won't. Those are my babies. Okay.
What
mammals.
is that term?
I think it's R selection versus K selection.
That sounds
like ecology class. But mammals function the opposite way. You're investing basically everything you have in just a few, and sometimes one or maybe just a small litter, right?
Yeah.
Putting, obligate maternal care, a lot of effort into raising that baby, right?
Yes.
So
It's got to be a mouse or something.
Do you really not know what it is?
Should I?
We've talked about it before.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if we had on just like in
Just
life.
life.
Oh, okay.
We know each other outside of this podcast.
Oh, you guys hang out that way. Okay. Hang on. Sorry.
That sounded.
Before we go into talking about this, I do want to mention there could be some biologist out there who's going to, like kick the door in with a well, actually, and say, well, yes, you see, many of these species actually exist on a continuum between similarity and heteroparity. Okay. There are a lot of factors that might make an animal want to reproduce all at once. Okay, instead of spreading it out over, breeding seasons. That would make them facultatively simiparous. Okay. There might be environmental conditions that would allow them to reproduce multiple times even when they normally wouldn't. So it kind of swings the other way, right? But that's very nerdy of them to have done that and to have kicked in the door for no reason. We're really just talking about the animals that are truly simiparous. So that means all the environmental factors and all their genetic factors essentially prevent them from ever being able to reproduce more than once.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Super. Okay, so what is this animal? Let's talk about a little bit of taxonomy then. One of these two species is from the family Didelphidae.
Oh, it's a possum.
It is a kind of possum, yeah. It's specifically a mouse opossum. So it's not like our Virginia opossum that we have in North America. Those reproduce multiple times a year if they can.
Oh,
right? Yeah. Tons and tons of little babies. But mouse possum is one of them. Do you know what Didelphidae means, by the way?
It means two uteri.
It does, yes. They have a forked uterus and
a forked penis.
yes.
Woo!
And they used to think that they would impregnate possums by sticking their two penises into the possum's nose. And they thought that the possum would stick its nose into the pouch and then sneeze the babies out.
Right. Yep.
Makes sense.
But actually what happened was sex happened in a normal way.
Yeah.
And then the mothers would lick the babies in their pouch.
Yeah.
By sticking their nose in there.
Yep. That makes more sense. It's kind of weird of us to assign such an unusual kink to possums. But
Well, look. Nobody saw it happen, but they just assumed if it fits, that's what it's got to be.
they also have paired sperm, Didelphidae.
Oh.
Yeah. So why is everything in twos with them? I don't know, but fascinating.
Not their babies.
Yeah, not their babies. That's in like 11 or 12 or 13s. Okay. All right. So one species, the other species is from Dasyuridae. Nicole, can you give me an example of something in family Dasyuridae?
Aren't they little shrew guys?
They're little, yeah, they're
Shrew-ish.
They are small, round, brown things. Yes.
Yeah.
They're marsupial too, aren't they?
They are marsupials as well. Yes. So all of the simiparous mate once then you die mammals are in the family of the group of marsupials.
Okay.
And they're all like from other continents, so Australia, South America, right? Family Dasyuridae contains, just to give you a quick breakdown of all these animals I'm sure you've heard of, coludas, kawaris, qualls, mulgaras, ningwais, phascogals, planigals, dunnerts, dasyurs, dibblers, and the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've probably only heard of one of those, and that's
we talked
okay.
about dunnerts on this podcast.
Yeah.
Did I say dunnerts? I did say dunnerts. Yeah, we have talked about dunnerts. Nice. What about dibblers?
I love the name though. It's like
Great
probably
name.
one of the best animal names I've heard this year.
Yeah. You said dibblers and I didn't hear the rest of the list. I'm not going to lie.
You gotta think of it, hear it in an Australian accent in your head too.
Dibbler.
So yeah, they're not as well understood by most people as your tigers and elephants, but they are truly fascinating creatures. These marsupials are carnivorous. Okay. And just another weird fact about this family in general, humongous sperm, largest sperm of any mammal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like compared to body size or just in general?
I think in general, like, yeah. Like their sperm is larger than elephant sperm.
Wild.
But they're little tiny babies?
Yeah.
I mean, not like babies.
Well, they're like 3 inches long, and their sperm is like 0.15 inches long or something like that.
Visible to the naked eye.
Like not quite as extreme as fruit fly sperm,
Yeah.
like which could wrap around their body multiple times.
Uh-huh.
But like it's I don't know, I don't think it's visible to the naked eye, but it's like long tailed. You know what I mean?
0.1 inches sounds big.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. Anyway, so marsupial reproduction is, compared with other mammals, obviously very different on its own. As Rachel mentioned, don't panic. We were just talking about possums, North American possums. And there's a pouch involved, right? Yes. So in marsupials, you have, instead of a long pregnancy where the fetus is supported by a placenta and then eventually birthed as a more mature organism, eventually capable of, like shooting out and standing up on its own. Right. Okay. Marsupial gestation is really, really fast. So for the animals that were in this family, we're talking about around 11 days.
Dang.
Okay. From you become pregnant to you're having babies. These babies do not come out very fully formed. They look like weird little pink beans, and they're very small, like honestly jelly bean sized. Then they go into the pouch. Pouch is where your nipples are at. They will nurse there and eventually grow over the course of a few months to being fully sized. So the reproduction is a lot different. Mostly because of environmental factors. They also end up in a weird situation where they can become, like certain marsupials can become pregnant again while nursing. So that creates kind of a crazy cycle for them of just constantly having babies.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's an issue. Okay. So this reproductive cycle, what happened? Are you okay, Nicole?
Yep.
Okay.
I just know a lot about marsupial nipples, but I'll keep it to myself.
No, don't keep it to yourself. Nicole, this is the time to get in here with this.
At least kangaroo nipples, fascinating. Not only because like you're feeding a jelly bean all the way up to like a joey that's hopping around by itself. So like the nipple grows with the joey. And also the milk composition changes drastically from when they're like jelly bean to a joey.
Yeah, that's what I'd read. Some marsupials will actually be producing 2 different consistencies of milk for two young that are nursing at different ages.
It's so
That's crazy.
cool.
How do they
wild.
know?
Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe it's the feedback of like the size of the teeth on the nipple.
Oh my god. But yeah, marsupial like nipples are also really long too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like one of the few facts I know for sure about them is like, at least with Virginia opossums, the nipples are so long that the joeys basically swallow the nipple and are tube fed by the nipple. Like it goes in like,
It's efficient. Yeah. Yes, indeed. So
Weird.
So because they don't have that placenta to assist in the embryo's development, they go with the route of short gestation and then long lactation. And not always in a pouch, but frequently in a pouch. Okay, so this reproductive cycle...
Wait, what do you mean not always in a pouch?
There are some marsupials that don't that don't, always, there's some marsupials that have a less defined pouch.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. This reproductive cycle is taken to an extreme in many members of these families, but there is no better model for understanding this than the Antechinus. Yeah, buddy. Okay, this animal really embodies this sex then death philosophy that we're talking about here.
Is this like the hedgehog of marsupials, the really spiky one?
And they're not really spiky. They're mouse-like.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I mean, a lot of these things are mouse-like. They look, you know, they're like I said, just little round orbs, or brown orbs. I mean, okay, all right. So let's talk about the life cycle of the brown Antechinus. We're gonna put ourselves in the shoes of the male here. Mm-hmm. Transport your brain to a nice, lush Southeast Australian forest, if you would. Are you there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Is it actually a grassland or is it a forest?
Did I say grassland?
No, you said forest.
You said forest.
I'm just making sure.
We're just questioning definitions.
Yeah. So much of Australia's forests are actually savannas. That's all.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But if it's in the east, it's probably actually a forest.
I think these they tend to lurk. They tend to habitat wise they tend to select for like detritus rich forest floors.
Okay.
So I think yes.
Okay, I'm there.
Picture ourselves in a forest,
an actual forest,
trees and all that.
Okay.
You weigh less than an ounce. You love to eat bugs and spiders. Your metabolism is ludicrously high. Your horny little heart is beating 300 times a minute.
God.
Just wants love.
Well, that's right, Rachel. I mean, that's why you're getting so worked up after all, right? You are almost a year old. July, just around the corner. The days are getting longer. And rainy season, will be here in a couple of months. Because this is Australia, things are backwards. Soon, insects will emerge in untold numbers. The forest will be chattering alive with food. But you won't be around to see it. Because you are about to bone your way into oblivion.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, indeed.
I think my little heart's going to explode. That's what's going to happen. That's my prediction.
Okay, so the female Antechinus, which you seek, comes into estrus or ovulation, right? During a precise 1 to 3 week window of time before summer. I'm saying summer. It's not their summer. You know what I mean. It's July. Okay.
How big is my penis?
What a great question.
I'm realizing I'm going to have to look this up
every time.
And I didn't. But I mean, this is a very small animal, so I have no idea. I don't know. I wonder what it is in relation to body size.
Yeah.
I'm just really trying to get into character here. Yeah.
All right, I'll look it up real quick so you can know.
Thank you. Also look up ball size while you're there.
Oh, well, it's all about the balls. I'm not finding it readily available.
Sounds like we can just make it up.
Maybe no one's measured.
Possible.
Let's see what is the length of the brown Antechinus in general, and then you can they are about 3.7 to 5 inches long. Body, not tail. So
that's impressive for only weighing an ounce.
Yeah. Yeah, they're light.
How long are their legs?
How long are their legs?
Are they like?
Oh, like no, they're pretty squat looking. Here you go.
Just little tubes.
Here, this is to help you get in character.
Oh,
there you are.
It's got
Long
weird
nose.
hands. What's wrong with its hands?
Oh my god, so critical. They're your hands.
Yeah, I don't like them.
All right, well.
Wait, show them to us again.
You love tiny rat hands.
Yeah.
Why are the fingers so short?
They're not, though. They're very long.
Wow. I did not expect us to body shame a marsupial on this podcast, and I'm frankly disappointed in both of you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, I never said it was ugly. I said what a long nose.
Oh, yes. Well,
I did criticize it. That's on me. I'm sorry, little guy. You're perfect for an echidnas.
Antechinus.
You're perfect.
It's a pretty wild name. Mm-hmm. Where even the fuck was I?
You were talking. Oh fuck, where were you?
Oh, okay. Regardless of how long your penis is, I don't know. That's check yourself out. I don't know. You need to mate during this particular time because these females experience delayed fertilization, as many animals do, to sync up with, okay, I'm going to crank out these kids when resources are at the absolute peak availability, right? Okay, so there's a 27-day gestation period with them because they are delaying their fertilization, and then they have to wean young for 6 weeks during that, that rainy season insecty time, right? During the bug times. So the stress of that is considerable. Female mortality is very high. Okay. You're obviously small. You're 3 to 5 inches long. Plenty of stuff in Australia wants to eat you. It's terrifying over there. Okay. There are even other larger species of Antechinus that might come after you.
Oh.
Just letting you know that.
Wow.
But precisely because female mortality is very high, you have to make these 2 weeks count, little buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's going to happen is you're going to enter a brutally intense period of competitive mating in which you cease caring about your own health and survival completely. All right. You care about only one thing, and that is sex. All right. Mating is violent. It essentially requires a male to attack a single female for a period of up to 12 hours before moving on to find a new female. So, sorry. Let me qualify this with a few things. So female mortality being high, we're talking that only 10 or 20% of females are going to survive to completely wean their offspring.
Jeez.
Wow.
So even if, so you want to make sure that you are spreading your sperm as much as possible, right? In order to potentially, ensure that you are fostering the new generation. That's all you care about, little Antechinus.
Spending 12 hours with one female does not sound like the way to do that.
No, I know, right? But this is just, it increases the time cost, the investment, the energy investment that you're spending in mating once is considerable. You've only got a couple weeks. Oh boy, right? See how this is becoming very stressful for everyone involved.
Yeah.
There's also very strong sperm competition, that you're going to have to deal with. So females will be mating with multiple males. You'll need to account for that. In fact, Antechinus litters do have mixed paternity frequently, and the young may have up to 4 different fathers.
Dang.
So,
Wow.
it's a little bit of a free-for-all.
Okay.
Also, the Antechinus, like a lot of other marsupials, they have more young than they can effectively nurse, which is a problem. So some of those little joeys are going to need to battle it out for a nipple after they're born, which creates another issue, another barrier to you successfully reproducing. So you are going to probably try and mate with 6 to 16 different females in order to ensure that you're successful. Since you need 12 to 14 hours per female, you will be dedicating as much as 8 straight days just to having sex.
Okay. No sleeping?
All while fighting off 8 straight days. All while fighting off both males and females and trying not to be eaten. So, what is the end result of all of that 8-day sex bender, do you think?
Like 2 babies max.
And
death.
And death.
Yeah, death is the big one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's what does it to you. Does anyone want to guess what the survival rate of the male Antechinus beyond year 1 is?
0%.
It is 0%. Yes.
We were talking about cell parity, so I was like,
yeah, none of them survive. They're not on that spectrum of like, well, sometimes if conditions are right, they can mate more than once and they can live longer than a year. It's like, no. They go into this 8-day long bender at the end of their first year of life, and then that's it.
Dang.
They're toast. And,
wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
In captivity,
Mm-hmm.
do they survive longer than that?
In captivity, do they survive?
Yeah.
we're going to discuss, I haven't looked into specifically captive breeding situations. I'm going to guess probably not, because we're going to talk about why exactly you died in just a second.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So, because of all those crazy constraints, time-wise on the reproduction process, you experienced during those 8 days exaggerated senescence. I know there's a lot of like, fun terms in this episode.
Very.
Exaggerated senescence. You guys know what senescence means?
It's like the dying of something. Isn't it the same thing as when trees that are deciduous are losing their leaves? That's senescence.
Yeah, it's aging, right? It's basically the degradation of the body. So they're experiencing that at an accelerated rate. So all this stress that you're experiencing in this 1 to 3 week period is physically causing you to age. All right.
Like the presidency.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Oh, man. Ooh. Wonder what. Nope. All right. The sheer amount of testosterone that a breeding Antechinus is going to be flushing their system with is going to basically prevent there from being any limit on the amount of cortisol that they're producing. Okay, so there's a hormonal issue that happens. They are just that constant high level of stress hormone over this 8-day period ages them considerably. It completely tanks their immune system and even causes hemorrhaging in the GI tract.
Oh my God.
Okay. Which makes them, again, very susceptible to parasites and pathogens and things like that. And it unfortunately has to be that way, because of the intricacies of marsupial reproduction. So this has actually evolved 5 separate times among these 2 separate marsupial families.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just it's the nature of their life. It inevitably forces them into like a crazy nonstop sex fest that kills them of old age in a week. it's
All right.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
What are the 5 examples?
The 5 examples?
Yeah.
Oh, they were like the specific 5 species. So you have the mouse opossum, you have the brown Antechinus, I think the agile Antechinus. There's 2 more that are in. I don't know.
Are they also Antechinus?
I don't think they're also Antechinus. They're similar. They're closely related, right? We're talking like 4 genera and 2 families.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, is it the qual? Because like I know a little bit about those guys, but I didn't know that.
I don't think it's the qual.
Yeah,
I've never heard that about them. Yeah. I think I would have heard about that by now.
Yeah. They're somewhat charismatic.
Yeah, they're friendly. They got a little dorky smile. They would never fuck themselves to death. Okay. Moving on. Okay, one more interesting thing about exaggerated senescence. So, as scientists examine the genetic basis of similarity in animals like the Antechinus, they are finding that this is a really good model for studying age-related conditions in humans.
Oh.
Yeah, perhaps even better than mice because of the exaggerated, like, we're like, this is speed aging. Like, oh no, someone's just, I don't know. No, all right. I'm thinking about.
I mean, why wait 3 years for a mouse to die when you can wait a week for an Antechinus?
Exactly. Yeah.
Fair point.
Breed them for a year, and then there's a week where they go from, being 1 year old to 90 years old in Antechinus years, and then they're gone. So, yeah, no, that's pretty important. The genes for diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia are expressed very strongly in the brains of mature Antechinus. Because they experience that exaggerated senescence. So, how neat is that?
That they get Alzheimer's in a course of a week?
No, you're right. That's horrifying. But what good news for us, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah, we can
At least we're not infecting them with something terrible, so...
True, yeah.
That's true, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, kind of a dark way for, to go.
Have we learned anything about Alzheimer's from studying them?
Have we? Have we had any breakthroughs about it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's not. I need to do the looks to find out.
That's okay.
To conclude this, I guess now kind of tragic story. I mean, it's a little sad. It's their life. It's their life.
It's not sad to them.
It's not sad to
them.
them.
They don't know any different.
No, they're like, hey, I didn't die a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like
Hopefully.
that.
There is at least one that dies every year.
Yeah.
Trying desperately, but not accomplishing anything.
Oh, well, I mean, male mortality is the male survival rate is 0% past 1.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't include the many male Antechinus that get eaten even before this whole thing kicks off.
Yeah.
Those poor little guys.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand how they're spending 12 hours attacking the female. Like, what are they like? Is she
chasing her
fighting
around?
back? Is she like trying to murder him the whole time?
Why is it like this?
Yeah, does he corner her and then they're like, is he gonna get his head eaten off like a praying mantis? Like, what's happening?
Let's see here. I'm trying to find you like a more in-depth description of how exactly this goes down.
Thank you.
Let's see what we have. Oh God. No, just they do still keep sleeping, but they're like reducing the amount of sleep they're getting drastically, and the like level of oxalic acid, which is something that builds up in the body from sleep loss, goes way up. Yeah. Okay. Marathon mating sessions of 14 hours. Yeah. Here is an article that says females come into estrus at the same time, triggering the mating frenzy. Copulation becomes a violent affair. Males bite the backs of the females' necks during... Okay, this is saying that each encounter is relatively brief, but because it's a 12-hour-long mating frenzy, they're being mated with multiple times. So I had that detail incorrect.
Okay.
So they're not assailing single females necessarily for 12 hours, but they are doing it for 12 hours straight.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, because that hardly seems worth it. Okay, so... Although, is that a cross for each species? Now
is
I'm
that one
confusing
species
myself,
or is it multiple? That's the issue with some of these topics, because I was having the same issue with my topic where I was like having trouble finding generalizations because there was just so much diversity across the entire group.
Yeah.
And that means it's either they've not been studied individually, or it was like, I don't know, hard to tell if the researchers were making generalizations or talking, or they were trying to make generalizations about things that they really didn't have a reason to make generalizations about. They were just like, studying this one creature probably means that this could be true of a lot of other ones. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Similarity, right? Your close tie between sex and death is a very unusual subject, but I don't know, carnivorous marsupials in general are just kind of a cool group of animals. They've got a lot of unusual things happening with them. So yeah. You've got some animals for whom sex is awesome and fun. You have others for whom it is unbearably stressful. And for a few of them, it's the last thing that they ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such is life.
It really sounds like if a lot of what's killing them too is just the accelerated aging from all the stress, which is completely hormone derived, that even if you kept them in a captive setting and didn't even allow them to mate, that they would still just drive themselves into a stressful early end.
Yeah. Just like desperate.
Yeah. Oh, that's very grim.
I guess that's what they want. But so if that's the case, if you're keeping captive Antechinus, may I just say from my completely third-party perspective here, you should just let them do it, because otherwise they're gonna feel like their whole life was pointless, and like, what was the point of their stressful death? Just give them the opportunity at least once.
That's true, but then they're gonna have on average like 20% more babies than they can feed the females. So then you're just causing
part of
more
life too,
suffering, aren't you?
Wow, such is life, like Nicole said.
Such is life.
Yeah.
Do they nurse when they do captive breeding of marsupials? Do they nurse can you bottle feed the little beans?
You can, but you need special like nipples so that it reaches all the way down there.
Yeah, like they basically syringe tube feed them.
Mm-hmm.
That's charming.
Yeah. Source working with wildlife rehabbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you guys know?
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Only vaguely related. Like if you keep, for example, polecats in captivity, the females do die if you don't let them mate or if you don't get them fixed. Yeah.
How? What?
Oh, so
I don't know the exact.
They can be spayed, or you have to
They have to mate or they will die. Oh, they will die. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know the process behind it, but it reminded me of males are gonna die. So yeah.
Dang.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
The females or the males?
Females.
Ooh, yikes.
For the audience, polecats are like weasels.
Yeah, like ferrets.
Ferrety.
Even like domestic ferrets.
Mhm.
Like you have to spay them.
Wait,
or
is that really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I just thought you did that because they smell bad.
Oh, fun fact. A lot of times they smell bad because their food sucks because people don't know how to take care of their pets. If you put them on a raw diet, they don't stink.
Oh, it's good to know.
So
Look into that.
The ferret owners in our audience are feeling so aggressively called out right now.
Oh,
well, they should be.
wow. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you on this fine day. Yeah.
Thank you, Allan.
Sure.
Good stuff.
It was a
Death, dying.
very stressful episode.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Filthy Animals. This podcast is produced by Grassland Groupies, dedicated to spreading scientific literacy in the interest of preserving our favorite natural resources on this filthy planet. Send us fan mail at 4925 South Broadway, number 69. For real. That's real. Wichita, Kansas, 67216. Other social media and contact info is in the notes. Allan, will you give us a fun fact, brain bleach?
Yeah, just think about how nice those qualls are.
Oh, yeah.
There's really nothing nice about the Antechinus. It's vicious. But the qualls are so cute.
They're cute.
Yeah.
You're right.
Antechinus also looked kind of cute.
They do look very
I
cute.
know I was making fun of its hands, but that's
They kind of look like if a child drew a mouse for the first time and kind of got the proportions wrong.
Yes.
Like that's what they look like.
yes,
Yeah. It's very cute.
accurate. Thanks, Allan.
Thank you.
Thank you. And farewell. Bye.
Yeah, the 300 beats per minute is still like heart rate. It's wild.
Yeah, that's way too much. Would that even seem like? Would you perceive it as separate beats at that point, or would it just be buzzing?
No, it's perceptible. Like there are songs that are done at 300 beats a minute.
Yeah.
But is that perceptible, or is it just buzzing?
No, go watch like a video of someone playing a snare at 300 beats a minute. It's you can tell the different beats. But it would, if that was like inside your chest, you would feel terrible.
Yeah, but are we talking like half notes at 300 beats a minute, quarter notes, eighth notes?
Well, isn't it? No, well, a beat is
Beat-
dependent
the
on
beat
the time
is-
signature. Not
yes.
all those would be subdivisions, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we're talking. Why are we
Never mind.
moving
Never
on the music
mind, never
theory of
mind.
the heartbeat?
Oh, God. Good job, guys.
Cut that.